Trump returned to the United States, leaving China beside itself. On Friday, May 15, 2026, while part of the press treated the meeting as a business discussion, Trump left the table with a much bigger surprise. Beijing was pressured to distance itself from Tehran, support the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and promise not to send military equipment to the Iranian regime. And also to increase purchases of American oil, liquefied natural gas, soybeans, and 200 Boeing airplanes from the United States. The turnaround is brutal because China was seen as Iran's main economic lifeline, precisely at a time when Tehran needed support the most. Trump put China's dependence on energy, trade, and maritime stability at the center of the negotiation and turned Xi into a leader forced to choose between protecting Iran or protecting China's own economy. I'll tell you all about this in a moment. But now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed. Real-time information with the best journalistic quality ever seen, upholding the Milson Alves standard of credibility. Trump put on the table what really mattered: Iran, energy, Hormuz, sanctions, oil, and American industrial power. According to the Associated Press, Trump stated on Air Force One that China would buy 200 Boeing planes with the possibility of the deal growing even further. Although the White House and Boeing itself have not yet released the full details of the deal. The public side showed ceremony, handshakes, and speeches about cooperation, but what came out afterward was much tougher. Trump also stated that Xi promised not to provide military equipment to Iran. The statement was reported by The Guardian, which pointed out that Trump said he heard a strong promise from Xi in this regard. Even amid reports from American intelligence about possible discussions involving Chinese manufacturers and Tehran. This is the point that turns the trip into a political trap for Beijing. China didn't just need to talk about trade. It was faced with an uncomfortable question. Will it stick with Iran until the end? Or will it preserve its own energy supply and its business with the United States? The commercial aspect increased the pressure. Trump said on Air Force One that China would buy 200 airplanes with the possibility of the order growing to as many as 750 aircraft. The Associated Press reported that the White House has not yet released all the details of the agreement and that Boeing itself has not commented officially, but noted that it would be the company's first major sale to China in almost a decade. This immediately becomes political ammunition. American jobs, American industry, and Beijing having to make room for a powerful political symbol. Reuters also reported that Trump discussed with Xi the possibility of suspending sanctions against Chinese companies that buy Iranian oil. This point shows the most hard-nosed part of the negotiation. Washington had punished Chinese refineries for buying oil from Iran, including Hengli Petrochemical, one of the largest private refineries in China. After the meeting, Trump said he would make a decision in the coming days. In other words, he brought to Beijing a combination of pressure and reward. If China helps control Iran, it may gain relief. If it insists on supporting Tehran, it may continue to feel the weight of the sanctions. Trump's special surprise was to use China's dependence as a bargaining weapon. Beijing buys energy, needs stability in the Gulf, and knows that any prolonged crisis in Hormuz affects freight, maritime insurance, factories, transportation, and inflation. China needs to calculate the real cost of this resistance. Trump exploited exactly that weakness. He didn't just ask Xi for help. He made Xi see that the Iranian crisis also takes a toll on Beijing. While Trump was returning to the United States, the pressure on Iran was increasing on another front. The American Central Command stated that Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis were cut off from Iranian weapons supply and support because of Operation Epic Fury. Admiral Brad Cooper said that Iran spent decades and billions arming allied groups, but that this threat has been greatly reduced. This matches the diplomatic maneuver in Beijing. While China is under pressure from above, Tehran's regional proxies appear weakened from below. The human cost of this crisis has also made the news. The information circulating mentions 14 military personnel killed during Operation Epic Fury, as well as 2 soldiers and 1 civilian killed in Palmyra, Syria. The American government is trying to frame this sacrifice as part of a larger operation to cut off the Iranian support network, reduce attacks against United States forces, and protect allies in the Middle East. The message from Washington is that the pressure on Tehran was not just talk. It has gone through military operations, sanctions, and now diplomatic isolation. Xi Jinping tried to bring Taiwan to the center of the conversation, as he always does when he wants to corner Washington on the most sensitive issue for Beijing. The Guardian reported that Xi warned Trump about the risks of clashes and conflicts in this area and described Taiwan as the most important issue in the relationship between China and the United States. But Trump didn't let the meeting be dominated by that topic. He came out talking about Iran, Hormuz, energy, weapons, and Boeing. For Beijing, this is irritating because it takes China out of the comfortable position of demanding explanations from the United States and puts it in the position of also having to give explanations. The move has a direct impact on the Iranian regime. Tehran was counting on China as a buyer of oil, a political partner, and a possible barrier against American pressure. But after the meeting, Trump started selling the idea that even Beijing understands that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons and that Hormuz needs to remain open. Trump also stated that he would accept a suspension of Iran's nuclear program for 20 years as long as the commitment was real. China was left in an uncomfortable position because it doesn't want to break with Iran, but it also doesn't want to bear the cost of a global energy crisis alone. This is the turning point that left Beijing without a clean way out. In the United States, Trump returns with a powerful narrative for his base. Now, the next move should unfold on three fronts. The White House can decide whether to ease or maintain sanctions against Chinese companies linked to Iranian oil. Xi can try to present himself as a mediator so it doesn't look like he just gave in to Trump. And Iran will have to choose between maintaining pressure in Hormuz or accepting tougher negotiations. The difference is that after the visit to Beijing, Tehran no longer looks at China with the same confidence as before. Trump returned to the United States with China irritated, Iran more isolated, and a hidden card that made international headlines. I'm Milson Alves, global and internationalist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves global community.